the idea of GS Astuto was always to, it's not really a follow the leader club. It's really GS Astuto is not a brand, it's a movement. It's not a club, it's a consensus of being, it's a statement of participation on a very independent but dependent way. It's really embodies, in a way, a pure anarchist state of club, which would simply mean that everybody gives into the state as much as they receive. And so that concept is the concept that we try to push forward with GS Astuto. There are a lot of cycling in Japan is one of the fastest growing sports. It's very well received due to the popularity of Kennen and other professional cycling events that are held in Japan. And just in nature, people love sporting events. So, and cycling is a way for people to really enjoy something that also revolves around brands, which Japanese love, and equipment, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
And so it's a culture that's very positive and invigorating and very supportive. So cycling is fun and cool. Haute is, I think for somebody like me, a pinnacle challenge. You know, 7 stages, over 700 kilometers, 21,000 meters of climbing. A highly competitive type of event. It's not a sanctioned stage race, but there will be a lot of people there looking to do as well as they can possibly do, including me. And you are riding with a group of equally competitive and equally challenged riders, so that's what competitive riding is all about. And now that I'm out of the racing scene, and I promised I would never race again, this is as close as I can touch to that and still keep my sanity. Haute is a race, it's a sportive. A sportive is like La Top. It's an organized ride that comes very close to a sanctioned race or like a century type commitment. I think the most famous is the Schwab Transalt. And basically it's like a rally event that thousands of riders participate in with the same set of goals and challenges. And it's a timed event, and because it's a timed event, it automatically becomes a race. Well, one of the rides I did last year was called the Nordikura Shine On. And Nordikura is a famous mountain pass in Japan, and it's also the site of the most famous hill climb in Japan, the most desirable challenge for any hill climb event. I think, I'm not certain, but I think Nordikura Hill Climb is also a JBCF sanctioned race too, time trial. So anyway, Nordikura is the highest passable road in Japan. And so it represents a fun challenge for people who love climbing roads on bikes. And it's beautiful. It's in Nagano, surrounded by onsens. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So one of the cycling clubs that I ride with, Half Fast Cycling, started an event called the Nordikura Shine On Charity Ride. And the idea being that participants in this ride donate money in support of their favorite charity, which is the Tyler Shine On Group, which supports children with serious illness, in particular cancer in Japan. And so this is something I really like, the idea that I'm getting a lot out of the event personally by being able to ride a really beautiful road with some cool people and challenging myself, but at the same time you can turn that challenge around a little bit and give back something to a community that is a very worthwhile cause, i.e. you know, children that need a little extra support for the challenge that they're enduring. So the Nordic Kura Shine On has been happening quite a few years, and I participated in it last year, and so it was on my mind. You know, every year I think about doing it because it's a really great fun event with people I really like to ride with. So I thought, with the Haute route, I go, well, why don't I use the Haute route as a way to promote and support the Shine On, Tyler Shine On. So I sent some emails to the Haute route people, and in fact, this year they started a new program, which was Ride the Haute route for Charity. And part of that program was they would choose 7 charities from 7 countries. And so I immediately made application for that. Even though I'd already paid for the Haute route as an individual rider, I thought, wow, this is great. So I talked to the Tyler Shine On people, and they said, hey, this sounds like a good idea. We'd love to have you, you know, as a spokesperson or maybe as a supporter for us in the context of this event. So I go, great. So I made the application to Haute route, and I think on February 17th they announced the candidates, and we had received one of the spots. So it became official. So we'll now be riding the Haute route as support for the Tyler Foundation. And in a way, it's going to make me ride just that much harder, because I know that the goal is, through my success, then I hope sponsors will commit in terms of goods, services, and of course money, which makes these type of organizations run. And of course, for us to do well, or just to compete in this event, will raise the awareness of the Tyler Foundation globally, and also, of course, raise it a lot in Japan. And that will help them to be able to raise money and expand their support services ongoing. And so I think that's a really wonderful thing. As a father of a child, I couldn't imagine my daughter becoming seriously ill to the extent that some of these kids are, and literally have their childhood ripped away from them in such a horrible and brutal fashion. But they do, and the kids go through it, and some of them survive and some of them don't. And whatever the result, it's a very, very trying process for the children, for the medical staff, for the parents, for everybody. And anything we can do to help young children bear through this type of process to become well is a good thing, morally and ethically. I can't really put anything else on it other than it's a good thing to do. Yeah, the Beads of Courage is very interesting. Tyler Foundation comes up with different programs to provide kind of a meaningful physical relationship to why are we doing this, rather than just putting money in a box. And the Beads of Courage is such a program. What the Beads of Courage is every time a child has to go through a certain type of procedure, chemotherapy, medical checkup, or certain goals are met, then they receive a bead that signifies that. And in the course of weeks, days, weeks, months, and years of treatment, they'll accumulate beads. And it really shows you tangibly what's going on. So if you imagine a child that has just been initially diagnosed with cancer, for example, and has to go in for a highly invasive biopsy. They'll get a biopsy bead and a checkup. And so then they'll start to grow their string of beads. And the weight of this chain is tremendous. And they remember every single event, and every single event is tied to the bead. As a writer, you sponsor a bead. So say you sponsor a biopsy bead or a chemotherapy bead or my hair fell out bead, radiation therapy, whatever. You carry the beads through your own personal challenge, write a little support note, and those beads get delivered back to the Beads of Courage people at Tyler Foundation, who provide them to the children. So when that child comes out, it's like they know they're part of the program, and they're like, hey, where's the bead? You know, I did it. And they say, well, this time you have a very special bead because the person who is giving you this bead actually gave you a personalized note too. And so they read like, you know, a little gambate, and I know what you're going through must be really hard, but don't worry, there's 1,000 other people trying to support you too. So personalized, not only are they giving them a bead, but it's a personalized bead. So the writer who participates in Beads of Challenge basically said, look, this bead made it all the way to the top of Norikura and back, so can you. I think in the best sense, I want to get as many beads through as many stages as possible. And so, for example, if you wanted to sponsor a bead on stage 5, then you would purchase a stage 5 bead, and I would carry it. And you get that bead back, or that bead gets sent with your personal note. And, you know, if we have hundreds of sponsors, then I got to carry hundreds of beads.
That's an even more amazing challenge, I think. You get...
Well, and that's why there's pockets on bike jerseys. So, but, you know, glass bead, they're not going to be that heavy. I mean, again, if you compare the heaviness that kids have to go through, what's a few beads? I want to organize rides that, say, are climbing specific, that basically people who are interested in supporting the Haute Challenge, in particular Tyler Foundation, can join up on my group rides. And I'm hoping that when they do join up on part of my group ride, that they'll be willing to donate something to Tyler Foundation. And also, perhaps we'll keep doing ongoing Beads of Courage, because the medical treatments and therapies and procedures for the kids never stop. So why should we? So I'm not looking at Haute as a one-shot deal. We're starting from now. So there's nothing to prevent us from having a Beads of Courage ride every week and leading up to the Haute.